Welcome one and all. I'm sure at this point you've seen lithium powered jump starters. They've now been around for about 10 years or so. They work fantastic, but they all seem to die in the same way, and that's with the lithium ion polymer batteries in the pouch batteries ballooning out and usually blowing apart the casing and causing significant fire risk, mostly due to how poorly they are manufactured. I've had a bunch of them and they all die the same way, so I had tons of parts saved up. The last one I had finally bit the dust last week, so I properly disposed of that one before it burst into flames on me, burning my house down, and I saved some of the components of it, because I am also a fan of battery adapters, and I love using battery adapters to make use of my Milwaukee batteries on lots of different things, especially tools. If it's something I'm going to beat the crap out of and have to rely on, it's going to be a Milwaukee tool. But if it's something that I don't rely on, or it's a nice to have, I go something like Ryobi or a cheap DeWalt, something like that, or even a Harbor Freight's Bauer. I have battery adapters for all of it. Never an issue if you know the limitations. And I've also used adapters like this to power other non-tool things. So I thought, why not use a M18 to make a jump starter? The chemistry, the cells, they're much better in the M18 Milwaukee batteries. And that ding means my mail was just delivered. How about that? I've also seen people just shoving some leftover electrical wire in the terminals to jumpstart dead vehicles on job sites. So I thought, well, why not at least build something with a little bit of protection? Now, I saved the jumper clamps, which are actually pretty lethargic. But I saved them from the last lithium jump starter I had. And the nice thing about the lithium jump starters, at least compared to just shoving a couple wires in the battery and starting the vehicle, is there is protection circuitry. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Not the cleanest, but it works. This one, I managed to jumpstart a family's 8-cylinder Lincoln Navigator. For those not familiar, the engines in those buggers are freaking huge. And it's the last jump started it with no issue, even on a completely flat battery. Little bonus, the M18 has a higher voltage, which allows more power to shuttle to the car's battery. So, at least with the protection circuitry, it gives us a little bit more reliability. So I'm going to put this back together. Just thought I'd show you that. You can see they actually use solder to really build up the connections there. And get this back in the right way. So I saved the jumpstart connection ends. Why are we... Oh, do I have it upside down? Yes, I do. And what the protection circuitry on this does is prevents current from going backwards into the lithium battery, which you don't want. You only want it flowing from the lithium battery to the car battery. And then I cut this off of the old LiPo pack. I did that outside at about 10 degrees Fahrenheit out there, below freezing, which helped contract the very ballooned lithium battery. I took apart the battery adapter. These are about $10, and I'll have these in a link in the description box below. They have these nice brass terminals, and inside here, that slide right in there. I would have used it, but this is a 12 gauge. Let's see. Yep, 12 gauge wire. So 12 gauge is good for about 20 amps, whereas the jump starter has 10 gauge wiring, good for about 30 amps officially. And not just that, it's a silicon sheathed wire, so it's a little more durable and it's resistant to higher temperatures. They used many multi-stranded wire. In fact, this is so finely stranded, it actually feels soft. It feels more like a fabric than a wire. But now remember, the amperage draw is only for a second or two, which is how you can get away with using such low gauge wiring. Even most jumper cables are going to jump from another vehicle. The average size is about 10 gauge wire. You can get down to 8 and 6 gauge, but generally not used. And it's a better idea when you jumpstart a vehicle, you hook up the donor power supply first and let it shuttle. You don't just go and then crank the engine. You leave it sit for a few minutes. That way you can transfer power from the jump battery or jumpstart vehicle to the dead vehicle's battery, give it a little more of a recharge. That takes stress off the jump starter and actually allows for much greater starting cranking power. So what we're going to do here is, where's my solder vacuum? I already drilled the holes out. They were the size of the 12 gauge wire with very minimal sheathing. I drilled them out. And yes, I ramble a lot. I'm sorry. Deal with it. I'm going to use a solder pump. You don't have to use a solder pump, but those are cheap too. I'll link to those in the description box below. I'm going to desolder these. Make sure my iron, using my Ryobi soldering iron. Yep, it's turned up. There we go. This probably wasn't a good idea. I'll be right back because I'm actually doing this on my dining room table right now. A piece of cardboard underneath here, a little thicker than that. Here we go. This is perfect. A duck egg carton. Much better. Whatever poisonous flux they used kind of smells more like incense from church. Whew. Toasty. Come on. All right, I can use that for a different project. Let's get the positive one. If anybody's curious, the Ryobi soldering iron can be powered by either 120 volt extension cord or an 18 volt lithium battery. And yes, my Milwaukee battery works great on it. Both Ryobi and Milwaukee are made by TTI, Tektronic Tool Inc. Oh, no wonder it's not vacuuming too much. Look at that. That's all built up solder in there. How about that? I wonder if I could reuse that. There we go. All right. I'll let that cool a bit. That one's cooling down. I should have brought a needle nose here, but kid's safe scissors. Now, I don't want to drill that out anymore because I want as much metal on there as possible, so I'll likely shove it through the hole, half and half, and then twist it and then solder it all together. The next step will be to get the wires through. I trimmed these actually down quite a bit. I wanted shorter the better. I mean, got less resistance, less voltage drop. So, I guess we'll start with negatory. God, this is just like a fabric. It's so thin, which is, I guess, a good thing actually, because electrons flow on the outside of the wire, not through the inside. So the more outside you got, like a surface area. It's really hard to work with though. Suppose I could have tinned it first, but let's Just get an idea. And before anybody asks, yes, I actually have jump started a car with an M18 myself. So there we got, it gives us actually plenty of room, and it sticks out quite a bit. This brass connector, or terminal end, is actually pretty thick. So I suppose, how will I do this? I know I did a lot more than I had to, but also be mindful, like I said, it's on both sides, so that's not going to matter. Now, since there's room in the casing, I'm going to leave a lot more wire on there. I mean, you can use flux, now you can use flux core solder, but in my case, I also have a flux pen. I'll link in the description box below. If you ever had trouble getting solder to adhere to anything in flux core, try solder or a flux pen. It makes just an absolutely massive difference, especially if you're working on something like a PCB. If I can reuse that. Woo. I keep telling myself to get a set of those helping hand little holders that you can clip stuff in so you can solder and work. I keep forgetting. I'll probably order one on Amazon once I finish this. So I guess I'll have a link in the description box below. Using that flux pen, it helps the solder soak right into what you're trying to solder. See that? Just kind of goes right in there. Let's go back to this side. Yeah, it's a big ball of mess, but you know what? It's holding. Like I said, I left quite a bit on there. I mean, there's, compared to how long is that? See, not very long. I'd rather have a little more, especially since I know there is plenty of room in this casing. try this one a little different. I might go back and redo that one. I probably will. It's a little solid, but I don't know. I'm not too happy with that one. I'll try this one a little different, maybe. There, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let that one cool down. I really think I'm going to redo it. Alright, well, I'll admit this one is not pretty. I think this one turned out much better. Nice and solid. I'm going to, of course, use the kitty scissors again. My snips are under the car. Alright, so now white stainless steel. I'll go right through that. Ooh, that made a little mess. Oh yeah, that's much better. Look at that. Much, much, much better. Also much, much freaking hotter. Yeah, well. Maybe I can straighten this one out a little bit. Although it might be too late. Well, that helped. Yeah, don't want to leave too much excess on there, I guess. I'm not the best at soldering, just enough to get by. So let's, I guess, add just a tiny bit more on there. flux, lets that soak right in there. I suppose one little bit here. Probably gonna get cancer, but I love the smell of that flux. Geez, really? Packages delivered. All right. Yeah, it's toasty, roasty. Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right, you know what? We're going to put this outside for like 3 minutes. Let this cool down a bit. I mean, it's like 10 degrees outside. And then we're going to reassemble them. We're pretty much done. Bye-bye. Back in a minute. Okay, back. Reassembly time. There's the little slots in there. The slot. This was the hard part, just how they fit this in there. So I'm wondering if maybe I should have put those in here first. Got one side, the other side. A little crooked. It's a little harder because of the wire gauge is much thicker than the original. There we go. See, line it up. Oh, there we go. Ha-ha! Shazam. Hold it tight, flip it over. Let's get one screw in there real quick there. It's a tiny, tiny little torque screw on this one. Of course, your mileage may vary. What size is this one? Doesn't even say on there. And multi-pack little thing from Menards. And there we go. That is done. No need, I mean, if yours is the silicone coated, I don't see any real need to heat shrink tube that. It gives you a nice flexibility, and having them separate like that. There you go. Get yourself a nice jump starter. Shazam. Well, this kit also came with this, unfortunately. Instead of 12-volt socket, this is now a 20-volt socket, which I guess would be compatible if you have an item that's, I mean, a lot of stuff nowadays, like phone chargers, will say, 12 to 24 volt, because a lot of the semi-trucks will have 24 volts to a socket. So, not too shabby. Here's another one from another one of my failed jump starters. You know what, let's take a look at the protection circuitry in this one. This one actually burned up a little bit. You know what? Now that since I got the soldering iron going, let's turn that back on. I'm not going to do that on camera, but similar setup. I think this one I got a little too hot. It's a little more lethargic on the solder on this one. But what was I start? What killed this one? I think I was trying to start a World War I or World War II duck military vehicle, if I remember correctly. You know what? No, this one. Well, that MOSFET's garbage. This one actually, you can read the numbers. 42C TQ030S, and below that it says 623P. It looks like this end one's blown, but the other three are fine. You know what? I'll just leave it. See, it got a little hot. See, what probably happened was instead of cranking for a second or two, I'm pretty sure we were cranking for a little longer. Those old military vehicles that are actually abbreviated DUWK, amphibious vehicles that land on the beaches of Normandy. But there we go. So, that's going to be in the description box below where to buy it. Direct link. Solder pump or solder vacuum. That'll be in the description box below. If you need a soldering iron, I guess I'll just list everything in the description box below. I wonder if I can find these. I will list that in the description box below. You've been watching for 33 minutes or so, according to the camera timer. Of course, I'm going to edit some out. I applaud you. If I helped you in any way, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe so I can waste more of your time. Bye-bye.